Hey everybody, it's Amy from BerryScary, and I am here to read you a few different facts. They're all going to be creepy, morbid, scary, unsettling. So this is your warning. If you are sensitive to any kind of morbid information, please go ahead and skip on and watch another video because this might not be exactly up your alley. But if you're somebody like me and you're very interested in different creepy things, then please feel free to go ahead and listen, and I hope you enjoy the different things that I've cataloged today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it, and we're going to start with there are over 250,000 deaths a year due to medical error. Fir trees, there's a 1 in 3 chance police will never identify your killer if you're murdered in the US. A human head remains conscious for over 20 seconds after being decapitated. A body decomposes 4 times faster in water than on land. And also, it decomposes faster in warm weather than in cold weather. Within 3 days of death, the enzymes from your digestive system begin to digest you. If you have a pet cat at home and you die, your kitty will not wait for your body to go cold before they start eating you. When a person dies, their sense of hearing is the last to go. The first thing to normally go is going to be your vision. A Sesame Street episode in the year 1976 scared children so much that the authorities had to pull it off air after several complaints that were made by parents whose kids screamed in horror. A little bit more information about that is that episode featured the witch from The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West, and she had landed on Sesame Street. I believe she had lost her broom, and so she was threatening all of the characters on Sesame Street to try to get her broom back, and she was so mean that the children were very scared of all of the threats that she made to the different creatures. She threatened to make Big Bird into a feather duster, and there were a few other threats that she had made. So with that, the children got scared and the parents made a complaint. In the 1950s, the United States government said that they were testing smoke screens in St. Louis for protection against Soviet aerial attacks. They were actually spraying citizens with radioactive particles to study the effects. In the 18th century, rich people paid to get their rotten teeth removed and replace them with the healthy teeth of poor people. This fad reached its highest peak when, in 1815, teeth were pulled out from the corpses of soldiers who had died at the Battle of Waterloo. During World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army carried out horrifying experiments on humans, such as vivisection of living people, injections of diseases disguised as vaccinations, freezing the subject's limbs to study the effect, amputating limbs of the subjects, reattaching them to the other parts of their body, and so on. Until 1986, doctors did not think babies could feel pain, and they performed open-heart surgeries on infants without anesthesia. The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger was alive and aware of their descent from the sky until the crew capsule hit the ocean at 207 miles per hour. They fell through the air for almost 3 minutes. Dogs love squeaky toys because it feeds their killer instinct. Years of evolution have taught dogs to behave aggressively upon hearing little squeaky noises as they resemble small animals in agony. It's a natural instinct derived from their ancestors. Also, if anybody hears a sneeze, there we go. My cat is right behind me, and I think he's allergic to my BS. All right, and I think he might be allergic to scary facts. You can actually kill yourself by cracking your neck like you do with your knuckles. There are likely thousands of microscopic mites crawling on you, trying to reproduce, populating. They live and lay eggs in your hair follicles, which means they're burrowing into your skin. Ed Gein was an American murderer who killed people and ate them. He was also notorious for stealing corpses from graveyards and decorating his house with human remains. When asked if he had had sex with the exhumed bodies, he denied it and said they smelled too bad. A rat king is a phenomenon created when a large group of rats become fused together by their tails via ice, dirt, hair, blood, or even feces. Encounters with this horrible phenomenon inspired some of humanity's greatest myths. After Charlie Chaplin's death, his body was dug up and held to ransom for $600,000. His body was quickly recovered by the police, and Chaplin's body was reburied with a stone slab covering the grave. Serial killer Richard Chase killed 7 people in a span of a month in Sacramento, California. He was nicknamed the Vampire Killer because he drank his victims' blood and ate their remains. Richard once attempted to enter the home of a woman, but finding that her doors were locked, walked away. He later told detectives that he took locked doors as a sign that he was not welcome, but doors that were unlocked were an invitation to come inside. That is one of the many reasons I always make sure that my door is locked. It's possible for your body to survive without a surprisingly large fraction of its internal organs. Even if you lose your stomach, your spleen, 75% of your liver, 80% of your intestines, 1 kidney, 1 lung, and virtually every organ from your pelvic and groin area, you wouldn't be very healthy, but you would be alive. Dominic Calgi of New York owned a car with license plate 5V1732, which spelled out the exact date of his death. May 17, 1932. The acid in your stomach is strong enough to dissolve razor blades. The reason it doesn't eat away at your stomach is that the cells in your stomach wall renew themselves so frequently that you get a new stomach lining every 3 to 4 days. The human body is estimated to have 60,000 miles of blood vessels. 300 million cells die in the human body every minute. The human heart creates enough pressure to squirt blood 30 feet in the air. In 1973, 2 men were in a small submarine, 1,575 feet deep in the ocean. Suddenly, there was a malfunction and water began flooding in, causing the sub to sink. They only had enough oxygen to survive for 3 days. It took so long for the rescue team to find them that by the time they extracted the crew, the men only had about 12 minutes of oxygen left. In ancient Rome, some people believed that if they drank fresh, warm blood from the fallen gladiator, they would absorb their power. They also believed that drinking blood cured epilepsy. This is another warning for the fact that's about to come up. It's a hard one. After the Pulse nightclub shooting, when the cops were investigating, one would think that it would be very quiet inside of the club. It was actually a cacophony of ringing cell phones, so many friends and loved ones calling people they knew were there, hoping they'll answer and say that they're okay. A post made by Forbidden_Donut503 says, "Before you die, your last words could be, 'I don't feel so good.' I was a paramedic for 15 years and heard dozens of people's final words. The phrase I heard most often, possibly from half to 3/4 of them, were some form of, 'I don't feel so good.' I've also heard, 'Wait, something's wrong, something's happening, I don't feel right, it's happening, oh no, oh no.' On Mount Everest, you have the Rainbow Valley, the last zone to climb to reach the peak, which sounds cute, but it's really the colorful jackets of dead climbers who are frozen in time against the white, harsh snow. Many pets die because their owners die unexpectedly and nobody comes to check on them in time. Most sitcom laugh tracks were recorded in the 1950s, so you've probably been listening to dead people laughing. Kathy was the dolphin who most often played Flipper in the show Flipper. She's also one that committed suicide. This happens due to depression. In this case, it was crippling captivity. In another case, it was being separated from a researcher with whom the dolphin developed a strong bond. Judith Barcy was the young actress who voiced Anne Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven and Ducky in The Land Before Time. She was murdered at the age of 10 by her abusive father, who also killed her mother at the same time. Judith Greystone displays Ducky's catchphrase, "Yup, yup, yup." At any time, without any warning, you can die of a brain aneurysm, and there is literally nothing you can really do about it. Anyone can have one. The average person walks past at least 16 murderers in their lifetime. Every year, we unknowingly pass the anniversary of our death day. Your brain can play tricks on you to make you see monsters in the mirror, called the Troxler effect. The Troxler effect is an optical illusion that affects how you perceive things both visually and mentally. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. One inmate who survived the first round of electrocution said, "Death tastes like peanut butter." Ted Bundy, serial killer, used to work for a suicide hotline. The entire surface of your skin is replaced every month, which, put another way, means that you have 1,000 different skins in your life. America's first serial killer is considered to be Dr. H.H. Holmes, who confessed to 27 murders in the late 1890s. He claimed that he could not help the fact that he was a murderer no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing. He's also rumored to be Jack the Ripper whenever he would take trips to Europe. While many serial killers were abused or beaten as children, there are exceptions. Jeffrey Dahmer had an apparently normal upbringing, yet became one of the most horrible sex murderers in popular culture. His father wrote a book, A Father's Story, which searches for explanations for his son's deviance. And his friend, Jeffrey Dahmer's friend, back whenever he was in school, had also written a book that was later turned into a movie called My Friend Dahmer. And it's a very good movie. I feel like it's very accurate to the way that Jeffrey Dahmer had grown up, or at least what was reported. There are 6 phases of the serial killer cycle. 1, the aura phase, where the serial killer begins to lose grip on reality. 2, the trolling phase, when the killer searches for a victim. 3, the wooing phase, where the killer lures his victim in. 4, the capture phase, where the victim is entrapped. 5, the murder or totem phase, which is the emotion high for the killer. And finally, 6, the depression phase, which occurs after the killing. Many serial killers will keep souvenirs of their crimes. For example, when Ted Bundy was asked why he took Polaroids of his victims, he said, "When you work hard to do something, you don't want to forget it." Between 30–38% of psychopaths show abnormal brainwave patterns, or EEGs. Nearly 70% of serial killers received extensive head injuries as children or adolescents, which, for many researchers, suggest a link between injuries and serial murders. Some researchers believe that the prefrontal cortex, the area involved in planning and judgment, does not function properly in psychopaths. Although it is impossible to predict if a child will grow up to be a serial killer, the 3 warning signs of future psychopathic behavior are: 1, animal torture, 2, prolonged bedwetting, and 3, juvenile pyromania. Criminologists call these symptoms the triad. The United States has the highest number of serial killers, with 70% of the world's total. Europe comes in a distant second with 17%. While women make up just a very small percentage of serial killers, they constitute the majority of victims, about 65%. It is rare for serial killers to prey on people from another race. Consequently, because most serial killers are white, so are most of their victims, about 89%. In almost 15% of serial murder cases, the victims are chosen entirely at random. The U.S. state with the most psychopaths is Connecticut. Following Connecticut are California, New Jersey, New York, and Wyoming. New York and Wyoming tied. Alright guys, thank you so much for listening to roughly about 10 minutes of creepy facts. If this is something that you enjoyed and you'd like to hear more of, please be sure to like and subscribe and comment below and let me know what was your favorite fact. And I will see you guys next time.